Because ladies and gentlemen, in my opinion, there is no medium that's as powerful on earth as books. And by the way, I don't care who you are, you should be reading. And I don't care what medium you read in. You know, there's some people who prefer audiobooks these days. For me personally, it goes in through one ear and straight out through the other. And I don't care where you get your books from. I remember back in 2016, I would always used to vlog Sundays when I would go to Brixton Bookmongers in London, which was my favorite bookstore, because rather than buying something at Waterstones for 15 pounds, I could get something used that barely didn't even look like it was used for £2-3 at Brixton Bookmongers. And if you can't even afford to spend £2-3 on a book, just borrow one from a friend or go to the library. Because one of the most powerful things I actually found about reading at that time, you know, when you haven't, I guess in the material world, you haven't accrued an insane amount of success, or because one of the most powerful things about reading at that time or at that stage of my self-development was the fact that I had what's known as Zen beginner's mind. You know, for me, everything was new and I didn't have any ego attached to executing on the stuff that I was learning about, right? A book would tell me, hey, meditate. So I started meditating. A book would tell me, hey, start journaling. So I'd start doing that. A book would tell me, you know, to do these self-development tricks, and I would just execute, you know, without really thinking. Whereas unfortunately, one of the things that I think still gets in my way to this day when it comes to reading is my ego, right? Because I'll read a book and I'm more selective about what I choose, which I guess is a good thing as well. Because, you know, I pick out the bits that I resonate with and I think would slot well into my life. Whereas back then when I first started reading, for me, it was just like, okay, book says do this, so just execute, almost like blindly execute. And look, if you pick the right books, that strategy can be extremely powerful. So that is habit number one. I don't care how you read, but when you are first getting started on your business, your entrepreneurial, or maybe even just your career path, you have to read books. To me, that's a non-negotiable. Now, there might be times later down the line, this year an example of it, you know, where you don't really read that much because you know exactly what you need to do, you know exactly what you need to execute on, and you're in a phase of your life where it's more about doing rather than learning. Now, the second habit that I want to talk about was getting into the routine of acquiring a high income skill. Now, my first ever business was flipping Instagram accounts. And through this process, I learned not only social media growth, but also copywriting. So I'm actually gonna get Tristan put up on the screen. There's an account called Fuck the Norm, like FCUK, because obviously I couldn't use the actual word. And if you look back right from the beginning all the way to, I'd say probably 20 posts before they kind of stopped posting, that was me. Like I wrote that. That was my account back in 2014. And that account